Okay, so in this second class of our course Jyotish-Prarambha, we will be learning about mathematical model of the zodiac. Basically, this class deals with how a birth chart is calculated and other mathematical nuances of astrological learning. Okay, and it is not a class which teaches you how to make a birth chart. It just gives you an overview of how the complete process is done. Okay, so with an prayer to Lord Ganesha, let we start our learning. Okay, so here we go. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surikoti Samaprabham Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryesu Sarvada. Okay, so first of all, we will learn about the zodiac. So it is evident that we can't measure sky; it is infinite. Okay, so for that simple reason, because we have to measure the sky, but it is infinite. Basically, whenever we are supposed to measure something that is infinite or that can't be measured by a scale or anything like inch or tape or anything like that, then we resort to geometry. Okay, the complete evolution of geometry, or you can say the complete innovation of geometry, is for things like this. Like for example, we have to build a bridge over a river. So basically, we can't measure the length of a river by a tape or anything like that, or we can't measure how much weight will be on the bridge and how things will go on. So for all these things, what we do is we use geometrical things. Okay, we take different criteria like the speed and the weight and different things like this. So whenever we are about to do something, whenever it is like whenever we want to do something, when one or more factors are unknown to us in those equations, when one or more than one thing is unknown to us, we use geometry and advanced mathematical things such as it is like the compass and different things like this. So because we can't measure the sky, it is infinite. You can't fly in the air with a tape and try to measure the sky. It is something which won't give you any result. So for that simple reason, we have assumed the zodiac to be 360 degree, because if you see into the sky, if you observe the sky, what you will find is that it is infinite, but the earth is round, but the earth is oval, not completely round, but the earth is oval. Okay, so because the sky covers earth from all directions, we take the sky also to be oval, and as we know that a complete circumference of a thing, a complete circumference of a circle is 360 degree. So we assume the sky to be of 360 degree. Okay, so this is the basic criteria. It is very simple to understand. Now, because when we are doing calculations on this, we need to have further subdivisions in the sky. Okay, because see, if you want to locate something in this infinite sky, how will you locate? There are more than one things. There are 9 planets, not one planet. There are complete 9 planets, and there are other comets and asteroids and meteoroids. So basically, how will you measure where a planet is or where another planet is, and what is the difference between two of them? So for that reason, what we did is we choose a point to be 0 degree hypothetically. Okay, we just chose a point to be of value 0, and from that point we start measuring the sky, and in the process we divide it into different parts. Okay, sometimes this division is non-uniform, like when we divide the complete 360 degree in the 28 nakshatras, then you will find that the portion around the special nakshatra, that is your Abhijit nakshatra, the portion close to the Abhijit nakshatra is not uniform. It is non-uniform. The Abhijit nakshatra itself is non-uniform. So there are two types of calculation. One is non-uniform calculation, that is of 28 nakshatras, and then there are 2 uniform calculations. One is of 27 nakshatras. Basically, in ancient times 28 nakshatras were used, but in modern times 27 nakshatras are used because of uniformity. Okay, because if the thing is non-uniform, then we won't be able to measure the distance of planets correctly. Okay, so this 28 nakshatra versus 27 nakshatra controversy can be simply resolved by a single statement that the 28 nakshatra uses is that the division of a zodiac into 28 nakshatra makes it non-uniform, and for this simple reason the use of 28 nakshatras is obsolete, is now not used, and we use 27 nakshatras. And for better is because 27 is a big number as compared to 12, so for the ease of the calculation we have further divided it into 12 parts. Okay, why 12 parts? It is known only to the sages. Okay, but according to me, as far as I have found, that this grouping of 12 rashis, or this allocation of this division of the zodiac into 12 parts and each part containing a rashi, is not just hypothetical, but it also has some spiritual significance. Okay, so there are many controversies, like suppose a planet is situated in 28 degrees of a sign and it aspects the sign in front of him, then his aspect will be on the then his aspect should be counted from the 28th degree of the opposite sign and some degrees minus or plus to it. Okay, there are many mathematical ideas like this, but according to me the sign have some special spiritual qualities. Okay, and so owing to these things, the spiritual qualities of a sign, you can safely say that the aspect of a planet is only limited to a sign, and it is not transferred to the next sign. It doesn't matter if a planet is at 0 degrees, 15 degrees, or 28 degrees, or any degrees. Okay, the influence of the planet will be in the opposite sign only, and not on the signs prior to the opposite sign. Okay, there is a kind of a invisible spiritual, or you can say an invisible wall between different signs. Okay, which prohibits which controls the influence of aspect from scattering into different signs. Okay, this is what I have found from my own astrological understanding. Of course, your understanding may differ, and there is no problem in that if your understanding differs from mine. Okay, now the next thing comes about the symbology of the nakshatras or the signs. Like for example, we know that Ashwini is like horse, and Bharani is like something else, and Kritika is like something else, and Mesh is like a goat, and Taurus is like a bull. So basically the symbol of these signs are influenced by the things we see around Earth. Okay, because see, stars that fall into the sphere of a sign. Suppose the sign of Aries is taken from 00 degrees to 30.00 degrees. So in this whole span of 30 degrees, there are many stars. Okay, these stars, if they are connected to each other by an invisible dot, create a kind of figure. Okay, this figure now can be interpreted in different terms, but the sages have interpreted it to be like a goat. Okay, the real thing is it is a wild goat, not a domestic goat. It is a wild goat. Okay, so basically if you the connecting lines that makes the different stars in shape of a goat is an imaginary line. Okay, the same thing can be interpreted in many different ways. Okay, if you change one or two lines, it may appear like a entirely new image. Okay, but because if I need to refer something, I have to refer from something. Like if I am going to describe you something, then I must describe you only with reference to the thing that you have seen. Like for a common example, you suppose you have seen a car, but you haven't seen a suppose you have seen a car, but you haven't seen a train. So if I need to refer to a train to you, what I will tell you is that train is like a car, but it is long. Okay, and it have many wheels. So if I tell you a train, like it is a train, but you have never seen a train, then you won't be able to identify what a train is. So for that reason, I have to explain you what a train is with reference to a car, and I will tell you, like, train is like a car, but it is bigger in size and it have many wheels and etc etc like that. So for that simple reason, because sages may have seen many things in the sky, but all of the things that are in the sky is not available on the earth. So for that simple reason, the symbology of stars are the symbology of science, or the symbology of stars are related to the animals that we see on earth. Okay, if you go to the other countries, like there is an astrology of China and there is an astrology of Babylon, then you will see that the symbology of some signs differ. Okay, the difference is due to occurrence of animals in different places. Like for example, in India you can see a wild goat, but suppose in China you can't see an wild goat. Okay, so for if you are unable to find a wild goat in China, and if you can only see an wild goat in India only, then in India you will term mesh the sign Aries being in the shape of a wild goat, but in China you will symbolize it as a small dragon or something like that. Okay, so this is the basic reason why the appearance of different signs differ from region to region, or country to country, or civilization to civilization. This is the basic reason. Okay. And the third point that I have written here is, as per my experience, that nakshatra is not used much in Jyotish. Rasi is given precedence. Why? Because the first reason is a kind of invisible wall that I have described about about you before. Because see, according to me, according to my thinking, if there was the concept of nakshatras, okay, then that nakshatra is a minute division. There are 12 rasis, but there are 27 nakshatras. So basically, nakshatra is a minute division. So according to me, if there was nakshatras, if there was nakshatras in use already, there was no need of innovating something like a rashi. But still, sages innovated something like a rashi, and they give us rashi. And if you see Vedic Jyotish and the texts of Vedic Jyotish that deals with the predictive part of astrology, what you will find is that the nakshatra scheme is not too much used, but the rashi scheme is too much used. Like I was arguing with one of my astrological friends. Nowadays we don't talk much. We were talking about the exaltation rashis of planets, and she told me that the exaltation of a planet is dependent on the nakshatra. So my simple question was, if the exaltation sign of a planet is based on the nakshatra, then sage must have simply said that sun is exalted in 10 degrees of Ashwini nakshatra, rather than saying us that sun is exalted on 10 degrees of Aries Rasi. Okay, so this basic distinction that the sage usually don't refer to a nakshatra, but he always refers to a rashi, and the degrees in a rashi but not degrees in a nakshatra is a strong proof of the fact that that nakshatras are not used too much in Vedic Jyotish. Nowadays people have made many superficial theories of using nakshatras in Vedic Jyotish, and they only know how their astrological system works. Okay, as per my own philosophy, you can't make any rule in Vedic Jyotish. To make any rule in Vedic Jyotish, first of all, it must be supported by sages, and secondly, it must be supported by practical experience. So even though the use of nakshatras is supported by practical observations on charts, but because it is not approved by the reading of the works of sages, I will tend to disagree from using nakshatras too much in Vedic Jyotish. This is my first advice to you students, and you can disagree to me on any point. However, what I will advise you people, that if you are in my course, then please try to follow my systems. Okay, try to follow my ideology, because if you don't do that, then your predictions may fail, and then please don't blame me that Shubham Alock taught you and then your prediction never works. Okay, so if you want to completely take my powers of prediction, then you have to follow me. And this is not only with me, it is with anyone else. Even if you follow anyone else, but not me, then even in that case you need to completely and blindly follow your said guru or your own inner voice. Okay, don't mix the system of two or more people to make a prediction. In such a case, when you mix views of two or more people in your learning or in your approach, then in that case you will only make blunder and no good result will be there. Okay, so there is just I will just tell you a simple line that nakshatras, according to my experience, according to my learning of Jyotish, nakshatras is not used too much in Vedic Jyotish. Okay, only rashis are used. Okay, and the straightforward evidence to my statement is is the words of sages used in their books. No sage have ever used the nakshatra terminology. No one ever said that sun is exalted in 10 degrees of Ashwini, but everyone have said that sun is exalted in 10 degrees of Mesh. Okay, everyone said that this Rashi is this and this Rashi is that. Even if you look at the predictive classics of Vedic Jyotish, you will find very less mention of nakshatras. Only few books like Saravali mention nakshatras, that too only at few points. They don't even give the name of the 27 nakshatras and their uses and their nature. Okay, basically the nakshatra is used very much in mundane astrology and electional astrology, but not too much in predictive astrology. So for that reason, for the simple reason, I'm of the opinion that the nakshatras must not be used too much in predictive astrology. Yes, it have to be used extensively in mundane astrology and electional astrology and other things, but as far as the prashna and the natal chart is concerned, the uses of nakshatra is very low and very little. So in this slide, we are going to learn about some basic terminology that is used in Vedic astrological calculations. Okay, the first is the geocentric and topocentric. Geocentric means from the center of the earth, and topocentric means from the place where where the native is born. Okay, so these two things are very deeply rooted in Vedic Jyotish. The position of planets that you see in a horoscope is geocentric. Okay, the position of planets in the sky is measured from the center of the earth, whereas the ascendant of a person is topocentric. The ascendant of a person is calculated from the place where one is born. Okay, so these are the two different things. Okay, and this basic reason that the position of planets are calculated from the center of the earth and the ascendant of a person is calculated from the place of birth of the native, this basic reason tells us the big flaw in the so-called Chalit Chakra or the Bhav chart or the house chart or Kaspal chart that we make. Okay, because if you try to understand what a Kaspal chart does, you will find that the Kaspal chart divides the span of a house and puts planet according to that. Okay, like for example, there are many methods of calculating the Bhav chakra. There is a equal house system, and there is a Placidus system, and there is a Porphyry system, and etc etc. There are different kind of systems. I think there are 18 or 19 systems, and I think 2 years ago I have planned to write an article on that, but my busy schedule, so I was unable to find time. However, in near future I will write about this house division and why it must not be used. The most popular house division system is the Shripati Bhav Paddhati, the method propagated by Shripati, which tells us that we need to find the mid-heaven of the native, and then from the mid-heaven we need to find the point of the ascendant, and the point of the ascendant plus 180 degrees is the middle point of the 7th house, and mid-heaven plus 180 degrees is the middle point of the 4th house. Then we need to find the find the difference between the 10th house and 1st house, and the difference is divided into two equal parts to find the middle of the 11th house and 12th house, and all these things are done. But if you see the mathematical process minutely, what you will find is that the ascendant degree of a native or the rising degree of a native or rising sign of a native is calculated from the topocentric position, from the place where a native is born, whereas the position of planets are geocentric. Position of planets are calculated from the center of the earth, that is taken to be Greenwich. Okay, Greenwich is the time center of the earth, we follow GMT, like India is plus 5:30 GMT, that is 5:30 east of GMT, and some place maybe west of GMT. Okay, so because the ascendant is calculated topocentrically and the planets are calculated geocentrically, this basic difference between their calculation tells us that this complete concept of the Bhava Chakra is useless. Okay, it is bogus, because how can you see? Just answer my simple question. How can you do this? Okay, I am living in Delhi, and there is a famine, say, in America. So how I am influenced by that famine in America? I am living in India. I can only be affected by the famine in America only in that case when I am living in America. Okay, so if you are using Chalit Chakra, if you are using Bhav Paddhati, then your calculation of planets must also be topocentric, or your position of the ascendant must also be geocentric. Only these two things can prove the validity of the Chalit Chakra. Okay, because you can't divide or you can't minus two different things. Okay, if you want to, if you minus 2 plus minus 4, or to say minus 2 plus multiply 4, this equation can't be solved. Okay, because one is minus and another is multiply, and they both are to be added. So basically, like, this is a horrible equation. In the same way, this is an horrible situation. Okay, the concept of Chalit Chakra is just bogus for the simple reason that the ascendant is calculated topocentrically and the position of planets are calculated geocentrically. Okay, so this is it. I don't want to go in much of the controversy because it will take up a lot of time, and then I won't be able to explain the other things in this slide. Okay, however, I will soon write a detailed article on this on this Chalit Chakra topic, and that article will explain this matter in detail. As for now, okay, just remember the thing that the Chalit Chakra is bogus, and when someone asks you why, there is just a simple answer that the ascendant is calculated topocentrically and the planets are calculated geocentrically. So because they are calculated from two different points, you can't subtract one thing from the another. Okay, to subtract one thing from the another, both have to be calculated from the single point. That is not done in Vedic Jyotish. Okay, the second thing is heliocentric. Okay, the universe is heliocentric. Heliocentric means sun taken as the center of the universe. Okay, this is the truth. However, in Vedic Jyotish, we take the earth to be the center of the universe. Okay, this is for a simple reason, because we are calculating a chart for a person born on earth. Okay, like there are many questions that if human civilization moved to Mars, then how will we calculate the horoscope of a person who is born on Mars? Okay, so there is a simple answer. If the human civilization ever shifts on Mars, then if we need to calculate a chart, then what we will do is we will take Mars as the reference and we will take Earth as a planet, and Earth will have new characteristics and new things there. Okay, so heliocentric is the truth, but heliocentric system is not used in Vedic Jyotish because Vedic Jyotish is meant for the people living on Earth and not for the people living on the sun. Okay, so basically from this explanation of heliocentric, I think you must have also understood that the science of astrology is basically dependent on what we see in the sky from Earth. Okay, it is not dependent on whatever is in the sky. Like there is a long controversy on why the outer planets are not used and why this is not used and why that is not used. And according to me, the simple explanation that why sages have ignored the outer planets and things, outer planets and comets, etc., because they are not visible from the Earth so clearly as other planets are, or they are not influencing the Earth. Okay, they may influence the sky, they may influence sun, they may influence other planets, but that is of no use to us. Okay, now The third point that I am going to explain here is the true and mean planets. Okay, like there is a long controversy in true and mean nodes. Okay, so first of all, you need to understand what does true means and what does mean means. Okay, so true position of a planet means, right now, if I open a telescope and peep into the sky, then I will find planets at some places in the sky. The current position of a planet is known as the true planet. Okay, the current position of a planet in the sky put into the current birth chart is the true position of planets. Whereas the mean position of planets is something that is developed from Karan Granthas. Okay, like there are Phalit Granthas. Okay, that means books dealing with predictive astrology. There are Ganit Granthas, books dealing with mathematical astrology. There are Muhurt Granthas, books dealing with electional astrology. There are Prashna Granthas, books dealing with horary astrology. In the same vein, there were used to be before the coming of astrological softwares, okay, and before the development of these observatories and laboratories, there used to be Karan Granthas. Okay, the thing was, there were observatories only to few people. Okay, like for a common example, suppose there is a person named Aryabhat and there is a person named Varamihir. Okay, so Aryabhat is a court astrologer and he have access to a telescope. Okay, and Varamihir is another court astrologer that have an access to the telescope. Okay, and the time of Aryabhat is 500 years before Varamihir. Okay, so because each and every person can't have an access to the horoscope, what Aryabhat did is Aryabhat saw the motion of planets and observed it over a period of time. Okay, and from his observation, he developed a formula that all these 9 planets are currently on this and this point. Okay, and according to his observation of this many years, they are moving at this speed, and they show these kind of variation of retrogression and combustion, etc. They show these indifferences in their behavior, and he writes a book. Okay, like he writes a book that in this and this year the position of this and this planet is this, and they are moving from and they are moving on this speed, and after this much time they go retrograde and move in this speed, and after this much time they go direct and move on this speed, and after this time they become combust and move on this speed, and after this time they move out of combustion and come to this speed. Okay, so the book where all these things are written is known as the Karan Granthas, the books dealing with current part of astronomy. Okay, so these Karan Granthas were written for the use of the normal astrologers who don't have an access to the telescope. Okay, these normal astrologers used to refer to these Karan Granthas to find the distance covered by a planet. Suppose, for example, Aryabhatta wrote in 523 BC that the sun is in 19 degrees and he is moving 1 degree per month. Okay, and suppose an astrologer in 500 BC wants to calculate the position of sun, so he will refer to the Karan Grantha written by Aryabhatta, and he will tell that he will calculate that in 528 BC, when Aryabhatta wrote this and this and this, the sun was at this position, and now 28 years have passed by, so 28 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 1 is equal to this and this and this, and the complete calculation was done. Okay, and after that sometime then Varamihir comes, and Varamihir observes the position of planets, and he observes their speed, and he observes their indifferences due to the 8 kinds of motion, that is the Vakra, Tivakra and Anuvakra and all these mathematical terms. Okay, like when a planet is in retrogression, his speed changes, and when a planet is in helical setting, that is combustion, his speed changes, and etc. So after some years Varamihir comes, and Varamihir again observes the position of planets using his telescopes, and he writes a new Karan Grantha. Okay, so over a period of time there were many different Karan Granthas, and people used to refer to the latest of Karan Granthas, and from time to time new astrologers came and they write Karan Granthas according to their own observations. Okay, so this calculation of a planet according to the calculations, or according to the methods, or according to the formulas given in Karan Granthas, is known as mean planets. Okay, So basically from this complete discussion, I think you must have understood that this Karan Grantha is just a very vague system of calculating the position of planets, whereas this true position of planets, that is observing directly in the sky, because nowadays every Tom, Dick and Harry can have an access to a telescope. Okay, so this true position of planets is more accurate as compared to a mean position of planets. Okay, because the lifespan of an individual is limited. Okay, if I say that over a period of 10,000 years the position of a star changes, okay, so a person who lives for 100 years or 200 years or 300 years, he won't be able to observe this big differences that happen in a span of 1,000 year or 2,000 year or 3,000 year or to say 400 year or 500 year. Okay, so for this small reason that the span of a human life is limited, but the sky is growing unlimitedly, sky is changing always. Okay, for this simple reason the Karan Granthas used to become obsolete from time to time. Okay, so from this discussion you must have understood that this true position of planets is correct and the mean position of planets is incorrect. Okay, so in all the calculation of all the planets, the true positions are used, whereas in calculation of Rahu and Ketu, mean position of planets were used. Okay, even nowadays many astrologers use the mean position of planets, whereas however the mean position of nodes are used only to write in the birth charts. Okay, when it comes to the calculation of eclipse that is caused directly by Rahu and Ketu, even sages refer to the true position of Rahu and Ketu. Okay, so because Rahu and Ketu, other planets you can directly observe from a telescope, but Rahu and Ketu can't be observed from a telescope. Okay, so this gives a little bit of difficulty, and this difficulty is the reason behind the confusion of mean nodes and true nodes. However, okay, according to my belief, according to my advice, because we are using the true position of each and every planet, we must also use the true positions of Rahu and Ketu, and we must not use mean positions of Rahu and Ketu, because see, if you are using the mean position for Rahu and Ketu, then use mean position for each and every planet. Okay, and if you are using true position of each and every planet, then also use true position of Rahu and Ketu. Why do this injustice to Rahu and Ketu? Okay, the injustice was done in the previous times because there were no facilities, you can say. Okay, however, there is no need to there is no need to resort to this inaccuracy nowadays when we have the modern things. Okay, so it is as simple as that this is very simple, that the true position of each and every planet must be used, whether it be Sun, Moon, or Rahu, Ketu, anyone. Okay, now the fourth point, why Chalit Chakra must not be used, is already explained by me, so I'm leaving it. Okay, and the fifth point is Drik Siddhanta and other Siddhant. Okay, so once again the Drik Siddhanta is the true position of planets. Okay, and other Siddhantas give the mean position of planets. Okay, so because I have already explained the true and mean position of planets and Karan Grantha in detail, so I think I don't need to explain too much on this topic. Okay, I will only say a simple thing, that Drik Siddhanta tells us that go see the sky and write the position of planets, whereas other Siddhantas, that is like Surya Siddhanta and different Siddhanta, okay, Surya Siddhanta etc., tells us that this is the mean position of planets and these are the speed in which they are moving, and calculate based on this, etc., etc. Okay, so because we are using the true position of planets, and because nowadays everyone can use the true position of planets, okay, for this simple reason we must use the Drik Siddhanta. Okay, and we must not use other Siddhantas such as Surya Siddhanta, etc., etc. However, there is a lot of controversy. Many people say that the Sun and Rahu and Ketu that are used in astrological terms are not the physical Sun, Moon, Rahu and Ketu. They are the spiritual Sun, Moon, Rahu and Ketu, and their position can only be known by Siddhantas, like the Surya Siddhanta is most accurate. But if this is the question, then I will only say that we can't vouch on the we can't vouch on the originality of all the Siddhant Granthas. Like if you read the Panchanga of Varamihir, and the Surya Siddhanta that is now available, you will find a lot of differences. So over the period of Kali Yuga, there have been misinterpretations, and there have been adulteration in even in the Siddhanta Granthas. So it is better to ignore Siddhanta Granthas nowadays and resort to the Drik Siddhanta only. Okay, and the second last point on this slide is about Ayanamsa. Okay, before telling you about Ayanamsa, let me learn about the tropical and sidereal zodiac. That is the last point of this slide. Okay, so tropical zodiac is used in Western astrology, and sidereal zodiac is used in Indian astrology. Okay, basically, tropical zodiac tells us that change of the equinoxes commences a change of the equinoxes makes a mixed zodiac. Okay, whereas the sidereal zodiac is fixed, tropical zodiac is moving. Okay, I will explain it with an example. Okay, we all know that the how I put it. Okay, suppose sun's entry into Capricorn, that is Uttarayan. Okay, like the if you see if you take the Kalpurush horoscope, that is a horoscope fixed with the Aries ascendant. Okay, then what you will find is find that the Capricorn is the southernmost sign and Cancer is the northernmost sign. So when sun enters Capricorn, we will say that when sun enters Capricorn, we tell that now sun will move towards the north side, that is sun will now go to Cancer, and when it comes to Cancer, we tell that now sun will move to the south side, that is Dakshinayan, that is the southward motion of sun, that is he will move from the Cancer to Capricorn. Okay, so the tropical zodiac believes that the day when sun enters into Capricorn, when the duration of the day and night is same, that day makes the 0 degree of Capricorn. Okay, and when sun enters the Cancer, when once again the duration of day and night is equal, that day is the 0 degree of Cancer. Okay, so the tropical zodiac measures the sky, or the tropical system of zodiac calculation measures the zodiac according to the seasons. Okay, whereas the sidereal zodiac is fixed. Sidereal zodiac tells us that this is the sky, and this star that is fixed, because a star changes at a very slow speed. Like a position of a star will change in a long period of time, like the position of a star will change in thousands of years. So the sidereal zodiac tells us that position of this star is 0 degree, like the most famous Chitrapaksha Ayanamsa tells us that this is the star, and 180 degree opposite to this star is 0 degree of Aries. Okay, so this sidereal zodiac is fixed. It always tells us that the 0 degree of the zodiac, the 0 degree of Aries, is just opposite to this star. Okay, the 0 degree of the zodiac is just opposite to this star. So in this way, the sidereal zodiac fixes the zodiac, whereas the tropical zodiac is always moving. Okay, it takes 0 degree of Capricorn when the day and night is equal in the winter season, and it takes the 0 degree of Cancer when the day and night is equal in the summer season. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the tropical and the sidereal zodiac. Okay, in Vedic astrology, the sidereal zodiac is used. Okay, and if you think on this, if you contemplate on this, you will find that the sidereal zodiac is more accurate because of the very slow rate of change in it. Okay, and the tropical zodiac is not that much dependable because the change of seasons are not that much a reliable method. Okay, when you change place, like if you go to the north pole of the earth or to the south pole of the earth, the duration of night or the duration of day is much longer, so there can't be a concept of the equal day and night. Okay, and so for the simple reason, the sidereal zodiac is extensively used. Only the sidereal zodiac is used in Vedic Jyotish, and contemplate on it, and you will also come out of the opinion that sidereal zodiac is to be used. And nowadays many Western astrologers advocate the use of tropical zodiac in Indian astrology, but according to me, it is not to be used. Only the sidereal zodiac is to be used in Vedic Jyotish. Okay, so this was the tropical and sidereal zodiac, and now it comes to the topic of Ayanamsa. Okay, so basically, because now you know the difference between the tropical and sidereal zodiac, what is the difference between them, it is now easy to understand what an Ayanamsa is. Okay, so basically what we know is that there is a difference between the sidereal and tropical zodiac. Okay, sidereal zodiac is fixed, whereas the tropical zodiac is moving, because the commencement of a season is not always same, it changes. Like there is a controversy, Mr. P.V.R. Narasimha Rao wrote about it, that we Indians celebrate Makar Sankranti on around 14th of January. Okay, that means we assume that the solar ingress in Capricorn happens on 14th January, whereas actually the happening of equal day and night, the occurrence of equal day and night comes somewhere in December. Okay, so it is now displaced. Okay, our assumption of equal day and night falls on 14th January, whereas actually it happens sometimes in December. So there is a difference between what we assume to be and what actually happens. Okay, and this difference is measured from Ayanamsa. Okay, this difference is this, because this difference that we know is in days. Okay, so this difference in days can be calculated astrologically, that is degreically, in the zodiac with the help of Ayanamsa. Okay, so this is the uses of Ayanamsa in because what we use nowadays is a Western ephemeris. Okay, because I think NASA publishes the table of position of planets each and every year, and we use that table to calculate Indian horoscopes. So it becomes necessary to use Ayanamsa and deduct the position of deduct some points from the position of planets that occur in the tropical zodiac to make it the position of planets in the sidereal zodiac. Okay, so this is what an Ayanamsa is. Okay, Ayanamsa is the degreeical difference between the tropical and the sidereal zodiac, and it is always used in Vedic Jyotish. No planetary calculation is done. No planetary calculations can be done in Vedic Jyotish without the use of Ayanamsa. Okay. Okay, so there are two options to calculate a chart. One is using a Panchanga and another is using an Ephemeris. Okay, Ephemeris is nothing but a Western Panchanga, so you can use any method. Okay, because the most powerful telescopes is with NASA, and NASA calculates the position of planets for each and every year in advance, and all these things. The Ephemeris method is more popular and more accurate. However, even if you have your own laboratory, then you can make your own Panchanga and you can use that. Okay, there is no problem in that. Basically, what Panchanga was just Panchanga was just a Indian Ephemeris, and Ephemeris is just a Western Panchanga. So there is no difference in that. You may use a Panchanga or you may use Ephemeris nowadays. Okay, in the previous times, Panchanga was something like made by those people who used to write the Karan Granthas that I have referred in the previous slide. Okay, so Panchanga is just the Karan Grantha condensed to 1 year. Okay, the calculation of Karan Grantha done for 1 year, and Ephemeris is the Drik Siddhant calculated for 1 year. Okay. And the second point in this slide is Lagna vary as per latitude and longitude. Okay, this is a very, very important point that you must know, that the position of planet remains same for each and every person. If I am born on 18th on January in America and you are born on 18th on January in India, then our planetary positions will remain same. Suppose my moon is in 20 degree of Capricorn, then your moon will also be in 20 degree of Capricorn. There will be no difference in the position of moon. However, our ascendant degrees will change because ascendant is calculated, topocentrically, as we have learned in the previous slide. So Lagna vary as per latitude and longitude, whereas the position of planets remains the same. Okay, this is a basic thing that you need to understand first of all. Okay. Now the third and the most controversial point is the real birth time. There are different opinions about it. Some sages opine that when the placenta breaks, that is the real time of birth. Another says that the coming out of the first portion of the native from the mother's womb is the time of birth, whereas some sages opine that the first cry of the child is the real time of birth, whereas some other opine that putting the child on earth or on bed is the time of birth. Okay, so there are difference of opinions, and you can't resort to one opinion because all these opinions are said by different sages of yours. So basically in this option I will go with the opinion of Mr. Srinath Oji. Okay, I have read one book of his named Rectification of Birth Time. Okay, it is published by Sagar Publications. It is a very good book if you are interested in birth time rectification. Okay, it introduces you to the many theories available for rectifying a birth time, and it also gives an example of rectification of birth time, and the example is a great learning experience. Okay, so if you are interested in rectification of birth time, you must read that book. Okay, so the opinion of Mr. Srinath Oji that he have written in that book is that the moment of any movement related to child is the birth time. Okay, Mr. Srinath Oji is of the opinion that all of these things are true. Okay, he is of the opinion that the first cry of the child can also be birth time. The inhalation of air by child for the first time can also be the birth time. Basically, he is of the opinion that the birth time cannot be fixed in advance, that this is the birth time. The birth time is different for each and every person. My birth time can be the first cry, and your birth time can be the first inhalation, and anyone else's birth time can be his time of that anyone else's birth time can be the time when he was put on the bed after cutting the cord. And so the birth time for different natives may differ. Okay, so he is of the opinion, Mr. Srinath Oji is of the opinion, that we must always conduct the birth time rectification process for each and every chart, because the birth time for each and every person is different, and there is no fixed criteria of what constitutes the real birth time. Okay, and I also agree with the opinion written by Mr. Srinath Oji. I am also of the same opinion. Okay, there can be no fixed criteria for birth time, because each and every child don't show the same criteria. Like if you take the first cry to be the criteria, then there are exceptions such as dumb childs. Okay, childs who are unable to speak won't be able to cry. What you will say then? If you take the time when the child's umbilical cord is cut, then there are cases when the umbilical cord is cut too late due to medical reasons and medical complications and other things like that. So there can be no fixed criteria for selecting the right birth time. It is the necessary duty of an astrologer to always rectify the birth time. Okay, because what is noted by the doctors or the parents may not be the real birth time. The real birth time can only be indicated by the horoscope. So whenever a new horoscope comes to you, always rectify the birth time. Okay, I always resort to this. I always rectify the birth time. It doesn't matter to me how much accurate the birth time is. Even if the birth time is accurate up to milliseconds, even in that case, I will go for a rectification of birth chart using the different divisional horoscopes and other rectification tools such as Panchtattva and Kunda and things like this. Okay, because of this simple reason that there can be no fixed criteria for the real birth time or the real moment of birth. Okay, and for the simple reason my consultation charges are always high, because my general consultation always includes first of all rectification and then prediction. Okay, so this was the third point. Okay, and the fourth point is I will tell you in brief that that in Panchang or in Ephemeris, the entry time of a planet in star will be written, and entry time in the next star will be written, and the speed of the planet will be written. Okay, and to calculate the chart, what you need to do is you have to find the duration of a planet in the star, and you need to find in that how much distance, like suppose it is written that moon enters the Aswini Nakshatra at 5 p.m. today, and moon enters the Bharani Nakshatra in 6 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, so suppose it is written that moon enters Aswini Nakshatra 5 a.m. today, and moon enters Bharani Nakshatra 6 a.m. tomorrow. So you know that it is a total span of 25 hours, and the degree covered by moon is 13 degree 20 minutes. And suppose someone is born at 9:25 p.m. today, so what you need to do is you need to take the duration of moon and take his speed and do the calculation and add the calculation to the entry of moon into Aswini Nakshatra, and the result will give you the position of moon at the time of birth of the native. Okay, so this is to be done to find the planetary positions of any native. Okay, when calculating the chart, which use that word, when calculating the chart manually. Okay, and the lagna is decided by the sun's degree at sunrise. Okay, it is different for each and every place. Okay, because the sun rise happens at each and every place at a different time. Okay, there is a change in time zone. Right now at 9:48 p.m. in Delhi there is night, but in America there will be sunrise. So the time of sunrise is different for each and every place, and the lagna is based on the sun's degree at sunrise. Basically, at sunrise the degree of the sun in the ascendant will be the same, and in the complete in 24 hours the sun will move to the next degree. Like suppose for example today sun was at 21 degree Cancer. Okay, so tomorrow the sun will be at 22 degree Cancer. So in this complete 24 hours all the 12 lagnas will pass, and the degree of sun will increase to 1. So if someone is born right now, you need to just use your mind to calculate the thing manually. Okay, like if the sun is at 21 degree right now, and next day he will come to the 22 degree, that means he will move 1 degree in 1 day. Then you need to find how many minutes he will pass, and how many seconds he will pass, and that calculation needs to be added to the sunrise to find the ascendant of the native. Okay, so this is a rough method how the calculation of a chart is done. Okay, this method, what I have told you is the real method. Okay, but I have told it just in a brief sense. I am not giving you a complete calculation how a chart is calculated. If you want to do that, you may try it. Okay, just buy the Panchanga of this year and calculate chart of anyone born in this year, and you will understand the process. Okay, I don't think I need to elaborate more on this because nowadays you have very good software. Some of them like Jagannath Hora is free. Many thanks to PVR Narasimha Rao that he gave this $1 million software. It was free. Okay. So because of this reason, because nowadays we have lots of softwares to calculate charts, we don't need to do manual calculations. For this simple reason, I am just explaining the process in brief. Okay, but remember that this is the real process. Okay, and I'm not hiding anything in the name of secret or anything like this. Okay, so this is the mathematical understanding of the zodiac. I think I am clear on the explanation. However, you know my pathetic English, so if you find any part difficult to understand, please feel free to write to me in the Jyotish-Prarambha group and I will be very happy to answer you. Okay, with this, I'm closing the recording. Okay, Hari Om and Namaste.